In this video, I'm going to be preparing traditional sautéed choya buds and tepary beans for you. This is a traditional meal that's often made by the Tahomo Oodham Indians from Arizona that you just learned about. So it starts with oil. The recipe, as you just saw on the PowerPoint slide, calls for 1 teaspoon of oil. I am actually going to double the recipe, and so that would be 2 teaspoons of oil. I never think that that's quite enough, and so I'm actually going to use 1 tablespoon here. And I have this all heated up, ready to go. So we'll wait for the oil to heat up, and then we'll put in our onions, which is the first ingredient in this recipe. It's always wise to make sure that you heat the oil completely before you throw in the food. So just let this heat up. While it's heating up, I just want to tell you that I had to order these beans and the choya buds well in advance. The choya buds actually look like little asparagus, dried up asparagus tips. And the tepary beans are quite small. I don't know if you can see that or not, but they're really quite small. They didn't require any pre-soaking, which was nice. I just threw them in the pot last night for a couple of hours and they boiled up quite nicely. So I had the beans done ahead of time as far as boiling goes. Also took about an hour to boil the choya buds. So they're all ready for us to make our sauté. So our oil should be warmed up by now. I've got my onion all ready to go here, all cut up. While this is cooking, I want to read a little bit to you from the back of the choya bud package. These things are a virtual nutrition powerhouse. Each pound of fresh choylum, and they call these choylum, yields just 2.25 ounces once dried and will triple in size when rehydrated. When cooked, they will be plump and soft. Choylum is very low on the glycemic index, helps regulate blood sugar levels, and is high in calcium. And they are very high in calcium. Just 1/4 of this package, once prepared, provides you with 80% of your daily need for calcium. It also provides you with 14 grams of fiber, which is a phenomenal amount of fiber. Virtual nutritional powerhouses there. The brown tepary beans, 10 grams of protein per serving, and another 11 grams of fiber. So when you put these two together in this dish that we're making today, you will obtain virtually almost all of the fiber that you need for a day. Okay, I'm going to turn this up a little bit. With all that fiber, you can see why these foods are so low on the glycemic index. Another thing that I purchased from over the internet, and I purchased these from TOCA, by the way. You just read a slide about TOCA. TOCA stands for Tahomo Oodham Community Action. TOCA is an organization that is committed to bringing back the traditional foodways of the Tahomo Oodham Indians. They also are trying to get other traditional ways back, such as their basket making and their dancing. The dancing, of course, helps with getting in the recommended 1 hour of physical activity a day. I also ordered this from them. It's prickly pear cactus jelly. I've tasted it and it tastes great. Let's see how our onions are doing. They're starting to get transparent here, which means they're almost done. Okay, I think we're ready to throw in our chola buds. These did about triple in size when I boiled them. And like I said, it took about an hour for these to get done. I'm going to double my recipe, so I'm going to put in a couple of cups. I might just be able to talk my family into eating these for dinner tonight. I'm not sure about that. So that's what the choya buds look like, mixed in with the onions. I'm going to let these cook a little while we talk about the Tahomo Oodham and some of their health disparities. The Tahomo Oodham people have the highest rate of diabetes in this country, with virtually 70% of them developing diabetes by the age of 45. That's phenomenally high. Because of that, there has been this push toward trying to get them back on their traditional foods. These foods, of course, are very high in fiber, very high in protein, and very low in simple sugars. So they're perfect for someone who suffers with diabetes. The Tahomo Oodham Indians, by the way, were originally called the Papagos. And you may hear that, you may have seen that name on the map of where the Native Americans are located in this country. They were given that name by the Spanish when they came through, and the name Papago virtually means tepary bean eater. These are heating up. I'm kind of looking forward to this, actually. According to the package, let me get my glasses here. The choya buds actually taste a little bit like asparagus or artichoke. So I like asparagus, I like artichoke. I think I'm going to like these. The package says that there may be some thorns left in the package. I didn't find any, however, but that would have been interesting. There's a theory that talks about why some of the Native American Indians may suffer health disparities like diabetes over and above what the general population does. And it's called the thrifty gene theory. What this says is that possibly because of suffering through famines in the past, the natives have developed an ability to save what they do get in good times, meaning that they store fat a little bit more easily. And they do happen to have a 20% higher obesity rating than the rest of the general population. I can see why people may have thought that. So far, however, there has never been a researcher who could actually locate a gene. So we still don't know much about that. There is a part in your little section in your textbook that talks about the thrifty gene hypothesis, and I would like you to take the time to read about that. Okay, I think that our onions and choya buds are about finished now. So we're going to put in our tepary beans. The recipe actually called for white tepary beans, but these are brown tepary beans. I don't think that it will matter much, so. And I'm making a mess here. I always make a mess when I cook. Now, the original recipe, as you can see when you look at the slide, calls for chilies. I'm not big on hot foods, so I chose to leave those out. It is an optional ingredient. However, I do like salt and pepper. I guess I shouldn't go overboard on the salt, even though I'm tempted. Okay, let's mix this all up. This actually looks good to me. Now, last night, I made a traditional Native American cornbread. And of course, their cornbreads were unleavened because they didn't have any leavening. And so what this cornbread consisted of was simply cornmeal and water and a little bit of ground up bean. It turned out to be very dense. I actually have one here with a little bit of the prickly pear cactus jelly on it. I tried to get a couple members of my family to eat this, and they wouldn't even swallow it. I, however, did try it, and I really don't mind it, but it's extremely dense. It's nothing like your grandmother's cornbread. Well, I think that our dish is about done here. So let's turn our heat off. Get the dish back, and let's give this a try. Okay, so we have here what a traditional Tahomo autumn meal would look like. Let's give it a try. It's good. I like it. I think it could use a little more salt and pepper, but this is a very yummy dish. And I know that I'm eating something that's extremely healthy for me.